Okay, hello, alright, we're back again for World End Economica, episode 1. We're going to start where we left off. It has been a little while, but let's continue this, and we'll see where this story continues to go here. The next day marked the first rainfall in a long well on the moon. Of course, it wasn't some natural phenomenon, but rain managed schedule. There were air purification mechanisms all over the place. However, the moon's low gravity allowed dust particles generated from people's everyday living and erosion of buildings to kick up into the air easily. Therefore, washing everything down with some rain was more effective. And so, since morning, water had passed through the conduits, spread along the seams of the dome, and fallen quietly from the sky as rain. Furthermore, the system managed to replicate the feel of a cloudy sky by lowering the visibility. I'd heard that on Earth, sometimes houses would get blown away or everything would be flooded as far as the eye could see. Meanwhile, on the moon, all we'd get would be the same gentle rain. However, I guess the rain did put a damper on me. It was probably because the rainy days were planned out in advance and stores were often closed due to the lack of foot traffic in the city. A hush fell over everything. I did some light exercise and left my room while hugging my computer. The living room was dim, even with the lights on. Lisa and Hagana were in the middle of having some bread. Oh, good morning. Hey. With my curt reply, I placed my computer on the table and opened the display. It was still about an hour before the markets opened, but I wanted to check the news. You sure are some junkie. How many slices of bread do you want? One slice. Just one slice? You're a guy, you know. Is that enough? Okay, then 2 slices. I was only looking at the screen when I answered, and I could hear Lisa muttering complaints about my reply. But she seemed to be having fun, so I didn't really get it. Glancing over sideways at Lisa naturally put Hagana in my field of vision. And I felt a little self-conscious after that talk with Lisa yesterday. But Hagana was ignoring me as usual, quietly nibbling on her bread without giving me a glance. Her smooth black hair and her thin fingers felt like artificial creations. Her small mouth made me wonder if it was even big enough for everyday necessities. And she also had those spunky eyes. If you ignored her personality and just judged by her looks, I felt that it certainly wouldn't be odd if there were people who were willing to buy her with money. And the moon was filled with people who had that type of money. On average, a working person would be able to make for 2 to 3 million mools in his lifetime. Thus, to buy that girl, 5 million mools would be plenty. This was certainly an amount that people at the head of the pack of the moon would be able to afford. Buying people with money. Basically slavery, when you think about it. Well, you could say, because you're basically, if someone's buying you, they would expect kind of like ownership of you, when you think about it. I mean, you're freaking buying them. In a way, it's basically. But, you know, just because it is slavery, doesn't always mean it's bad, per se. Because you never know how the person might be treated. They could be treated like they were part of the family, for all you know. It's just, they have really no rights, pretty much, when you think about it. That's the only difference. It's just, you have rights that are given to you by whoever bought you. Wouldn't be the best life, but you know what? It might be better than some people have. As a concept, I thought it was actually pretty natural. However, once face to face with someone who was actually involved in the matter, I had a very strange feeling about it, even before mentioning pity. What? I snapped back to reality when Hagana cast a suspicious gaze at me. Turned out, I've been staring at Hagana without realizing it. She stared at me with suspicion for a while, and then looked around herself and wiped her mouth. Realizing there was nothing clinging to her mouth, she continued to stare at me suspiciously. There's nothing stuck to it. I checked before you said anything anyway. It was her usual bad-tempered tone, but for some reason, I wasn't really pissed off by it. I calmed down and listened to what she said. It's not like it was anything particularly bizarre. It wasn't like I was going to ignore her, even if I could see Lisa looking at me worriedly from behind Hagana. Hey girl, what's with the black get-up all the time? What about you? What about it? Oh, I don't know. Is it really any of your business? I thought that would have been her follow-up, thinking about it calmly, though. I wondered if it might be a real question rather than a rhetorical quip. If I placed myself in her shoes, I'd definitely ask something similar, if I had just been stared at and then asked about my clothing. I shrugged and said, well, I was kind of curious since you've always dressed the same. Well, aren't you the same, brat? I guess I could deal with that answer. At that moment, Lisa, who had been placing toast on the plates, cut it. Hagana, he's Hall, not Brat. Well, he called me girl. Hey girl. He just called you hey girl. Brat and hey girl. Well, I think Brat might be a little more in the negative category than hey girl. While spreading butter on her bread, Lisa called my name, while jerking her chin lightly in Hagana's direction. Hagana? What? Is she trying to train us like dogs? Well, I guess being stubborn would be something only a child would do. I opened my mouth in resignation. Oh, Miss Hagana, I was just curious as to why you possess clothing which all bear the same appearance. I recalled what I learned in grade school. Good job. And Lisa replied like a teacher. Okay, Hagana. Lisa turned toward Hagana. And Hagana was especially hesitant. I felt like she had been looking back and forth between my face and Lisa's face at least twice now. Hagana was like a little animal that had been squirted with a water bottle. Oh, well, you're the same. Oh. Good, well done. That was a little stuttery there. Why she felt hesitant to say that for? This was the first time I saw Hagana fumble at words. If not for her spoiled princess demeanor, she had as much emotion as a metallic robot. But with this, she immediately started looking more girlish. I think she could look cute, you know. She does seem she likes to wear dark colors. I mean, we always see her. I mean, like any of these type of games, they always wear the same colored clothing all the time. So there really isn't that very much of a variance. I couldn't help feeling that I was just a simple guy. I mean, his looks, at least, were cute. I think she could be cute. From what I can tell, from what I've seen throughout it, she could definitely be a cute girl. Well, about the exchange we just had, I do have some opinions of my own. Lisa said as she handed me a slice of bread in both Hagana and I looked at her. She cleared her throat and said, You two, be more conscious about how you're dressed. Looking over our synchronized eyebrow furrowing, she continued. Lavish decorations lead to ruin, but going around in rags leads to ruin as well. I wouldn't say they're in rags, they like to wear the same stuff. It's kind of a waste when you can still wear them, though. I think there is a limit. I mean, if you have the money and your clothing getting holes and stuff in them, maybe it's time to go get some new ones, but personally, I don't really buy clothing that much. I'm not someone who goes out and wants, oh, look at this and that, oh. The only time is really when it comes to, like, I see a shirt that looks nice, that I'm like, ooh, maybe I want to get that as, like, an extra shirt decoration. I barely buy pants. I probably end up buying, pants less because, I don't really care because they all are either blue or black. So it's like, yeah, I don't use them any other reason. It's just like, It's pants. They're either blue or black. I don't really, as long as they fit and stuff and they're comfortable, I could really care less. It's not like I have any particular use of them. I don't need like big pockets all the time. I don't carry a whole shit ton of stuff. I don't need like something to hold tools or anything like that. So I don't need that stuff on my pants. But if I did, it would be a little different. Quality is important, but so is looking proper. Mine aren't rags. Yeah, but you only have one set of those. Huh? You're saying she only has one pair of clothes? Is that why she always wears it? Lisa kind of turned together to look at me after my explanation. Morgana proceeded to repeat herself. Mine are not rags. I wrinkled my upper lip. They don't stink. With that line, I became uneasy rather than mad. It's starting to smell again? I lost trust in myself and ended up trying to smell myself. Lisa smiled early. you thought they like, oh, they're talking about something stinking? I mean, we're just talking about what it looked like. Where did this whole conversation of smell come from? She's the one who brought it up. No, you're okay. For now, at least. Oh, so I was fine all along. But you stunk before. Oh, shut up. Shut up? My brows are fully wrinkled. Being asked to repeat myself directly ticked me off a bit. As we glared at each other intensely, Lisa tapped her fork on the plate. Stop it, you two. Besides, both of you only have one set of clothing. That is kind of rare around here. Lisa cut off her impeding, but by continuing to talk. Morgana, you don't have classes today, right? Lisa suddenly changed the topic, but Morgana was unfazed and answered immediately. Yes. And Hall, you're free this evening. When Morgana asked, I ended up answering in stupid frankness. Well, if it's after 5, wait, don't tell me. That's right. When the rain stops in the evening, the two of you go shop for some clothes. The shopping center in the second block has a ton of inexpensive clothing stores. Morgana and I looked at each other. Your answer? Morgana turned to Lisa when she was asked that, like one of Pavlov's trained dogs. And after turning to Lisa, she made a face, her own way of saying, oh shoot. Lisa looked straight back at her and smiled. I guess Lisa's smile was unblockable from the point of view of Morgana, who had supposedly thrown away a precious book of Lisa's, landing the church in a huge amount of debt. Staring down slightly and resigned herself to her decision and replied to her usual manner. Yes. What about you, Hall? If I had said no here, we'd know immediately who was being a child. Furthermore, I was neither boorish nor obtuse enough to be able to stand being called smelly all the time. However, I just couldn't shake the principle of it being unnecessary spending. As I looked over my clothing furtively over one last time, Lisa had been looking at me, smiling. At that moment, I realized why Lisa appeared so mature. This woman, with just a smile, was able to display a plethora of emotions. It must be due to being older. I sighed my resignation and replied, Alright, I got it. Good. She was smiling happily when she said that. Maybe it was due to the weather, but the markets today didn't really have any particular momentum, make my job difficult. Stocks could only move either up or down, and so on a day where there's no clear direction or movement, trading strategies I usually use yielded nothing for me to do. For example, there were times when the stocks would all tumble because of some random trigger. As a result of my gluing my eyes to the news, I realized that it didn't matter exactly what triggered it. It might be, for example, that a large enterprise FISA reports were bad, or a politician of a developed country was caught in some immoral scandal, or perhaps that the planets had aligned. I knew that on those days, didn't matter whether a particular company had good earnings or bad earnings. Its stock would get dragged down in price anyway. It's on those days, I'd watch a display without trading, seeking out stocks that had been dragged down by the general sentiment in the market. It's strange, but on those days when stocks would fall for some random trivial reason, I'd always see people selling off as if the world were ending soon. Those cowards would sell off that day, but would then rally the next. On the other hand, when the markets were on a bull run, it'd become a chaotic festival, with people selling and buying stocks one after another. But on old days like this, I could buy some stock for 10 mools, and it remained at 10 mools for the rest of the day. If I did that, I'd definitely lose out due to the commissions. Stock trading, in my opinion, if you're a stock trader, in my opinion, your job is a worthless job to society. You are doing neither nothing good or really nothing bad. You're literally looking at numbers and just trading. You are literally doing nothing productive to society. So if society ended, whatever profession you had could literally mean nothing, because you have done nothing for society. So society owes you nothing. I was scoping out the situation during morning trading, but it looked like it was going to be like this for the whole day. On these days, if I forced myself to do some trading, I'd only end up losing in the end. Even disregarding that, my recent losses had started standing out, so I didn't push myself and decided to close the computer. But man, the rain. It was dark outside, and the drizzle continued. Outside my window was a narrow alley, so no one passed by. Shutting down the computer made the room silent except for the sound of raindrops hitting the ground under the eaves. I kinda should be in the next room over, but it was silent as usual. Wonder what I should do. What was the problem once I decided to not trade for the day? I'd end up not being able to figure out what to do. Anyway, I decided to leave my room and walk down the dim hallway toward the living room. Entering the living room, I saw Lisa reading a book while sitting on the shabby sofa. Oh! I guess Lisa must have noticed my footsteps as she turned toward me. I didn't answer immediately, and instead took some orange juice from the fridge and poured some into a cup. Well, it would probably be more authentic if we were some middle-class family from the White Belt. But around here, the orange juice was just some orange-colored, sweet-tasting chemical concoction. Not working on the computer today? Can't get into the mood. Oh, yeah. Well, I guess you do have those days. Lisa wasn't particularly interested and returned to reading her book. It wasn't some digitalized version, but the real deal. When her slender fingers flipped a page, it made an unreliable sound. What are you reading? Lisa looked at me and paused for a second. She was thinking about how to answer my question. It's a very old book you totally wouldn't get. Of course, that totally wouldn't get was her mimicking me. When I made a face, she turned back to her book, her shoulders shaking with amusement like a child's. Razor's the Golden Ball. What? It's a book of religious stories from all over the world collected by some curious Englishmen more than 100 years ago. On rainy days, I start wanting to read this for some reason. I'll flip the page again while talking. Is it interesting? Well, the book itself doesn't present any clear conclusions, and to be honest, there's a ton of falsehoods in here as well. However, it is the distillation of millennium of human culture, so... At that point, Lisa stopped to press her face up to a page as if she were savoring the scent of the book. Perhaps it's just as appropriate for a Christian like me to be reading this book while it's raining on the moon. Totally not getting it. There's that saying that you shouldn't underestimate the world. I got the feeling that she dodged the question, treated me as a kid again, and I scratched my head lightly. So, in the end, it's just an elegant way of passing the time, right? Exactly. Her simple reply actually made it more uninteresting. In other words, it was pretty stupid to continue, and I heaved a sigh. Speaking of which, you sure look bored. I guess. My goodness, a proper young person being idle isn't a good thing. On days like this, it's best for you. Well, I agree with that, but there's a problem. A problem? Of course there is. It's unhealthy for a young man to merely listlessly wander around all day. Well, there really isn't anything for me to do, so what should I be doing? There's nothing? What? Are you going to suggest I go study or something? Lisa smiled with a troubled face. Do I look like the type of person to say that? Surprisingly, no. He then laughed at my response. You don't have any hobbies other than doing your computer thing. Hobbies? I furrowed my brows instinctively and shot back a reply. Hobby. You're calling this a hobby? Don't tell me you actually don't have anything else. What? I kind of shrank back from Lisa's serious gaze. No problem with that. Oh? I totally don't have time for no hobbies. I said that from the bottom of my heart, but it ended up sounding like an excuse. I need to win at the stock market to survive. I needed to excel at the stock market for my dreams. If there was one thing I lived for, I couldn't imagine it being anything other than standing where no one had stood before. I had no time to do leisurely things Lisa would do, like passing the time reading useless books from the annals of history. It was true that currently I had nothing to do and was just wandering around, but that was because trading was unexpectedly not going too well. Well, if you're okay with it, then that's fine, I guess. After staring at me for a few moments, she returned to her book. Part of me wasn't quite satisfied with something, but I couldn't pinpoint what. Unable to figure it out, I continued to stare at Lisa, who then turned a page and said, Well, you know the saying, man does not live by bread alone. What? I responded in earnest because I actually didn't understand, but Lisa didn't give me a reply. She was deep into her book as if I had simply disappeared. I guess it's some book more than a century old about the gods of Earth, filled with mountains of lies. It'd be impossible to imagine anyone other than Lisa reading such a book on the moon. It's not like there's be a hobby as pure as this. Usually, I just write it off as some idiot wasting their precious life on useless things, but right now I felt as if I were on the losing side for some reason. I was not mistaken to dedicate my daily life to stock trading, and right now there was a good reason for not trying to push myself to trade. However, I felt uneasy, getting the feeling that I would be very mistaken to simply stand here. But it was true that I simply wasn't in the mood today. It was a pain to search through stocks, even though I decided not to trade today, so I also didn't want to return to my room with the computer. I wonder if my feeling like crap was also a product of the rain. As I was staring out the window, I heard a soft pam. Looking in the direction of the strange sound, I noticed Lisa had closed the book. And then she left in resignation. Oh well, Big Six Lisa's here will play with you. What? What the hell? You play with him? What? It's not like I was asking for that. Oh, really? With that, she simply pulled back. I was actually happy inside about her offer, and thus I regretted my childishness. However, Lisa apparently was able to sense my actual feelings and see through my act. And then she chuckled and stared at me leisurely. Boys sure are stubborn. It was true that I didn't have a clue as to what I should do with my spare time. And besides, if I become pig-headed here, it totally pass out thinking about my stupidity later. But it was on a level where I could just say, hey, let's play. I was hesitant for a bit, then conflicted. Finally, I ended up announcing my surrender with a sigh. I wanted to at least stress that I was going along with this because I had no other options. So, what shall we do? Since you have a computer, want to play some games? Or maybe we should bake some cookies. Cookies? Oh, you wanted to make some cookies? Well, that means Sagana could have some later, so let's do that. Well, it's not... Even though I voiced my complaints, they didn't reach Lisa's ears. I got up from the sofa and performed a big stretch toward the ceiling. It's been a while. I wonder if I'm still any good at baking them. Oh well. I gave up and looked at Lisa. Well, let's start with some cleanup, and then we'd gather the ingredients. It'd be okay to rush past that if we were making something else, but with sweets, preparation and process is quite important. Oh, yeah? If we're going to do it, we might as well make some fantastic cookies. Yep, she sure looked like a school teacher. Well, let's first ready the utensils. Okay. Following Lisa's instructions, I collected the utensils and set them on the table. Since it would be bad to get your clothes dirty, here, put this on. Lisa handed me an apron. This was something she had always donned when making dinner. If I put this on, what are you going to use? Me? Since I'm just giving directions, I wouldn't need one. Oh, you're gonna make him do all the cooking, are you? What? Okay, let's first get 150 grams of butter. Here. 150 grams? Oh, this scale was calibrated for Earth use. Just divide by 6 and you'd be fine. What's next? 200 grams of cake flour. That don't divide evenly. Treat it like real life. Make compromises. Such nonsense. This'll be fine, right? What's next? 70 grams of granulated sugar. A bit of baking powder. It does call for 1 egg of yolk, but I guess a whole egg would be fine too. Can you crack an egg? Hey, I can at least separate out a yolk, you know. Okay, once you've placed all those on the table, spread out a paper towel beneath the cake flour well. If we did a half-hearted job here, the flour would all be clumped up. Oh yeah. I guess I've seen some similar in the kitchen before. Well, recalling something I had seen ages ago, I tapped to see it. Sparkling flour down. Oh, your mom's homemade cookies, huh? I wonder if mine would be a match for them. No idea. I'm a bit young to be able to pick up a wife's tastes, so I guess it wouldn't be surprising if I lost. I ignored her words and continued to sift the flour. Meanwhile, Lisa poured hot water from a hot pot into a large bowl. What are you doing? I've got to soften the butter a bit. Are you done with the sifting? Something like this, right? Okay, here. She handed me the small bowl of butter and a whisk. What? Slightly dip the bowl with the butter into it in the hot water, and then stir slowly while the butter is softening. We're just softening the butter. You don't melt it. Afterwards, just keep stirring. Give such difficult instructions. You must take a shot at everything in life. I heaved a sigh and sank the bowl into the hot water a bit, and started letting the butter melt a little, just as I was told. Next to me was Lisa the foreman, staring at me, shouting out things on a whim like, "You're pausing it too much. You're pushing it too much, pausing it too much." I was like, wait a minute, pausing? That doesn't make any sense. What the hell? I meant pushing it in too much, or put more guts into it. Finally, the butter had some becomes somewhat loose, and then I broke it up forcibly and mashed it down. So, how long do I keep stirring? Until it gets to be like melted vanilla ice cream. Ugh, well, I don't have an electric mixer. We're in a low-gravity environment, so quit complaining. What have gravity to do with it? I ended up hugging the bowl and started stirring it. At first, it was just sticking to the stir, so I wasn't sure whether I was mixing it or just crushing it, but it eventually started turning viscous. Viscous. Vicious, that's the wrong word. So it felt more like mixing. Lisa added a pinch of salt and then, after more mixing, dropped that again. Okay, keep on mixing, keep on mixing. Lisa, of all people, started talking in a strange rhythm. I was pretty much totally into it, mashing things around. And then Lisa lifted her head a bit. Oh, Hagana. When I looked up from the bowl, Hagana was frowning and looking this way, as upset as she could be. We're making cookies. Wanna come help, too? I won't. Hagana phrased it simply and walked across the living room to the bathroom. She hasn't been in this bad of a mood for a while. Isn't she always like this? When she say good mood, she'd ponder it a bit more before saying no. I see. With that, I started getting the feeling that I was beginning to understand why Lisa bothered with me. I wonder if she got hit with that difficult of a problem. Lisa was gradually adding cake flour to the bowl, and I put my heart into mixing it so that it wouldn't clump up. And they should at least get some motorized cooking implements. So, how long do I keep mixing? A bit longer. Gah. Alright, no more complaints, mister. Since you're going to be enjoying some delicious cookies afterwards. I want to eat them without the manual labor. Stop quibbling. Lisa bopped me on the head and I brushed her hand away as though it were a nuisance. At that moment, Lisa's mobile terminal let out a ring. Oh, a phone call. Lisa got up from the table, picked up the terminal on the wall, and was surprised at the number. Sorry. Just keep mixing this for a bit, okay? I think that's supposed to say Lisa, not Hall. That sounds like that would be Lisa saying something, not Hall. With that, she went in the direction of the bathroom. I could only hear her muffled voice through the door, but she sounded happy to me. It inadvertently strained my ear to hear, probably because of a little bit of jealousy on my part. And thus, a sudden ding-dong, like the sound of notes on a dried-up xylophone gave me a fright, as though I'd been caught misbehaving. What? When I looked around, the door in the bathroom was open, and I could see Lisa's face as she was talking to the terminal. Hey, hold on a sec, Hall. Go get it. What? The door. Oh. It appeared the sound had come from the intercom. Setting the bowl down, I walked half-heartedly over towards the entrance of the church. Lisa went back into the bathroom and continued her conversation. But who would visit this place? Perhaps it was a certain Toyama who had come to collect debts again. While pondering that, I slid open the bolt and opened the door. Who's this person? There stood a petite figure wearing a raincoat and staring down at the electronic notebook, typing away at it. So, while it was a petite figure, there were bulges on either side of the hips, indicating that there were some large packages being transported. The figure was slim, but it was probably a boy. I looked suspiciously at him. He started talking before looking up. Good afternoon. I'm with Kunko, with your usual vegetables, and I also have some questions for Miss. And as he looked up, he froze. And I could see beautiful blue eyes staring at me through large glasses. There were a few freckles around his small nose, so I realized he must have come from Earth, where the UV is harsher. However, besides that, I could tell from one glance that he looked kind of dim-witted. Say what? When I asked him while he was just standing there, he took a big step back while keeping his eyes on me. It was midday, so there was passerbys as usual. He attracted some odd glances, but he didn't move his eyes away from me. What's so surprising here? And then he regained his senses, looked at his electronic notebook, surveyed the drawings, and looked at me again. What is it? He shrugged his shoulders reflectively and asked me cautiously. This is the 6th Avenue Church, right? I pondered for a moment and then replied, no, the name does sound familiar. Is my teacher, Miss Hagana, here? Miss Hagana? Teacher? What the hell? I repeated his words and couldn't stop myself from giggling. I guess it was true that she was teaching. She's here. By the way, isn't it kind of dangerous to be standing there? And after being told that, it looked like he finally realized he was smack dab in the middle of the road. How far did he walk back? Well, I thought he was kind of dim-witted. I did admire his strong steps while he was stepping forward, carrying all that luggage. I wonder if he likes his teacher. That's why he was kind of surprised when he saw another guy living here. And was like, wait, why is there a guy here? What the hell? You're trying to take my woman? It looked like he was used to transporting large items. So, what was it again? Yes. Didn't you say something about vegetables? Yes, He cleared his throat and took in a big breath. Why is he so nervous? I don't understand. My name is Chris Kuhn, and I'm from the Kuhn Company. No matter if you need fresh food like vegetables or stationery, we are your one-stop source for delivery to anywhere on 6th Street. We at Kuhn await your orders. With that, he finished his clear speech in one go. It was probably totally drilled into him by his parents. Even if he stood up straight, he was clearly shorter than me. Hagana was shorter than me, and he was still a bit shorter than her. Oh well, I thought as I pulled back. If you're looking for Hagana, she's inside. Thanks. I guess the fast talk only applied to his spiel, as the Chris I was looking at now averted eyes and walked into the church. At this point, I couldn't figure out if he was a guy or a girl. So we still don't know? And when he took off his raincoat inside the church, my confidence fell even further. A threadbare sweatshirt that was obviously too large drooled over him. Below that were jeans with the pant legs totally rolled up, as well as a pair of worn-down sneakers. He must not have very much money. Sounds like he's kind of got like hand-me-downs and other things like that. His blonde hair was puffed up and rough, as if he had never used a comb in his whole life. However, when he folded up the raincoat and tried to jam it into the bag hanging by the cross strapped over his shoulder, I caught a peek of the chest area, though, the overly large neckline of the sweatshirt. My new hunch was that Chris was probably a girl. So, it might not actually be a guy, but it's a girl. So we're totally confused at this moment. You have no idea that it could be a guy, it could be a girl, we don't know. Even I can't really tell at this point in time, to tell you the truth. I have no idea. It could be a guy, it could be a girl. One of the things I learned from anime, it is hard to judge until you actually find out. You know what, guys? I think I'm going to end it here. We're going to actually wait, and maybe we'll find out whether whether Chris here is a guy or a girl. Guys, I want to thank you for watching this. If you want to keep up to date on this, feel free to subscribe. In the description box, I will have a link to where you can check out the game if you want to check it out yourself. And if you want to keep up to... I already said that. Again, guys, thank you for watching, and you all have a great day.